Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper, and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends and another in our series of I Built Them, so you don't have to. Now imagine yourself playing Raid Shadow Legends 6 years ago. Things were a lot different then than they are now. There were a lot less champions, there were a lot less freebies, and frankly, I don't know how any of us got through the start of this game because it was not nearly as giving as it is now, and it's a bit of a grind now. The reason I bring this up is because 6 years ago, if you were playing this game and you didn't get the shards that you get now, you don't get the silver that you get now, you don't get all the freebies and the extra events and the login champions that you get now. You got Yizzo, you got Shaman, you got your starter champion, and maybe some luck along the way. But hope was on the way because at the 30-day login, you got High Khatun. High Khatun was your first, for many people, chance to have an aura that was usable in the arena on a champion that could boost your speed with a speed buff and with a turn meter boost, all in one kit. She was a lifeline for those of you who did not luckily pick Gorgorab up off a shard, which was the only real way. There were no codes for free champions like there are now. There were no links to start with free champions like there are now. Now this isn't 6 years ago, this is today, and the reality is the vast majority of you who are starting today and know about him should be picking Sun Wukong. He's too good a champion to ignore. He's probably one of the best champions you can get, and he's available free. And more importantly, he's available free along with Alice and along with many other links out there. My friend Fastidious from the Watcher of Realms fame does have a Raid Shadow Legends channel. He is pushing the early game in. He's got a really great code that gets you a legendary and a couple of epics. As well as, of course, you can still get Monkey King. You can still do all the other stuff. So why do you need High Khatun anymore? You don't need the speed lead. The turn meter boost is nice, but there are so many champions in this game that can give you that boost. So if you don't need her in the arena anymore, is she usable at all? But for those of you who are low spend, free to play, and are looking for an easy way to jump through the ranks of Clan Boss, the answer is yes, and it might be a little bit more attainable than you think. Today I'm going to go over a long-known champion with a long-known comp that's very seldom used because it's often jumped and surpassed by the Demetha comps or the growing shield comps or all these other comps. But this is the first, or was the first, 2-to-1 comp in the game. It was affectionately known as the White Whale. It often had Apothecary in it, though we're not going to use Apothecary today. We're going to bring in what I think is probably the lowest of the low of the White Whale comps and show it for you today. And normally I go through a champ under very specific circumstances. I bring them through the campaign. We're not going to do that for this one because this is a very specific video, a very specific comp that I want to show you today. So with all that said, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, let's talk about High Khatun. All right, let me start by showing you the comp. I woke up nice and bright and early in order to record this for you. It is the White Whale. Afterwards, I will show you the speeds and the champions used here. This is, as I said, the very minor of the minor. This is the lowest of the low in order to make this comp work. So let's play it here and we'll talk about the comp and then I'll show you the numbers at the end. We don't have to go through the whole thing. And in this particular case, I'm actually also not using a cleanse champion, which is typically what you would use. But I brought in Ugo just because she's a freebie in so many different codes out there, including Fastidious's, that it's well worth bringing her in. It does stun actually High Khatun, but because we're kind of in tune already, it actually is okay. Of course, Ugo does have a cleanse, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown, and a 2-to-1, it doesn't quite line up on the stun every time, obviously. So you do get some stuns in there, but you'll notice they still go to a 2-to-1 clip. And this is a team that's not going to get you to Ultra Nightmare. This is a team that's going to use a couple rares, a couple pretty accessible champions, a login champion, a champion that's free with codes, I'm using Sandlash Survivor as the extender here. You just need someone to extend the buffs by a turn. There are plenty of champions. Go over to hellhades.com, look up buff extension, and you'll find all the different champions that can do that. She is one of them. I brought her in. You can see there's some +3, +1. You can see some ascensions on there, some blessings on all of them. But you know, this is as accessible as a team as you can put on an account like mine. I did put good gear. I didn't put crazy good gear. We'll see that in a second. But so the key to this team is that, by the way, I upgraded to Windows 11 because I knew it had to happen eventually. I hate it, but we're surviving. So you can see here, you've got the speed on them, and then it's extended. And that's the most important thing here, is that you get the speed on them and then extended. And this is going to feature poisons. It's going to feature attack down from a very accessible rare champion, Coffin Smasher. Like I mentioned, you've got Sandlash, you've got High Khatun, and the unfortunate, there's two unfortunate things about this particular comp, is that because you're using base champions, you're missing out on champions that have multiple abilities. Like Coffin Smasher, he does have an HP burn. I did turn it off because I just want that attack up all the time, or that attack down. So you have the poisons, you have the sensitivity, you have the defense down, you have the attack down. But what you don't have is you don't have cleanse on a proper rotation. You don't have a block buff or block debuff, which would be very good here. Depending on, this is a magic affinity, so it's perfect that it's neutral, except for, of course, it's weak affinity on High Khatun, which is why she's taking the stuns. But you can see you've got Coffin, you've got Ugo, you've got Sandlash, you've got Coffin at the turn 2, turn 2, turn 2, turn 2, and then the boss goes after her. She takes her final turn there. So you see that is a 2-to-1. Each one's getting 2 turns. Now you extrapolate this to any epic or legendary champion, and you're going to start getting champions that have more than just attack. Like Coffin Smasher has attack, but imagine if you had an attack down with a defense down. Even like a Tyrell could go in that spot. Then you don't need Ugo anymore. Now you can bring in a different champion that can cleanse on a 1 turn. That on this 2-to-1 cycle, there's champions that would work very well for that. Either that to cleanse whatever the debuff is, especially Spirit Affinity, or you can use them to cleanse the stun, or you have a block that's a 2-turn that's being extended as well. There's so many different ways to make this team that much better. Also to note, none of these champions are using lifesteal gear, so we're relying 100% on Ugo's leech. Now, if you replace Ugo, maybe you have a healer, maybe you have someone that can do a more consistent leech. There's, again, so many different opportunities for a team like this. This is the first team where you can get a very minimalist team and push yourself to a 2-key nightmare. With better champions, you can go to a 1-key nightmare, and you can start tickling the ultra nightmare world. And then after that, if you have very top tier champions that can do these same things, which is the speed up. See here now, they're not on a 2-to-1, but they'll get back into the 2-to-1 once they start getting the buff extensions and everything on the speed. It's just unfortunate that because weak affinity, she's the one that's going to get stunned. And I didn't put in a cleanser because I wanted that defense down. Could have went the other way. I don't know if it would have been better or probably the same. Probably a little bit worse. That defense down is helping. So again, and as far as offensive stats, none of these guys are doing great damage. 18, 19. Ugo is probably the hardest hitter outside of Frozen Banshee with all her poisons. Frozen's going to do the yeoman's work here. But again, the leech is what's bringing them alive, keeping them alive here. This team has so much potential, and I just want to show it. It's all due to High Khatun. She and Apothecary are the most accessible champions to have this ability. The turn meter boost with the speed buff that you can then extend to last through the run makes it such a great and accessible unit. Now, we don't have to keep going the whole way through. You can see what it does. The net result of it is a very nice 27 million. I think 28, we get to 28. So 28.6 million on Nightmare with kind of trashy champs, not going to lie. Kind of throwaway champs. Frozen Banshee notwithstanding, Ugo of course, but Ugo is not best known for Demon Lord because her kit is okay for Demon Lord, but that's a very low leech. She puts on a buff that you don't need in the block buffs. So I guess it takes away his baby attack up. But this is just a nice, easy start to a wonderful comp. Now, all right, let's take a look at the different champions here. They are not, I don't think these are crazy numbers. Now, this is an endgame account. I do have all the extra bonuses, and it's hard to strip down champions. I put good gear on them. I didn't put crazy gear on them. But just 28k with no lifesteal, no survivability other than the low chance to leech. I think this is something that's attainable. Maybe it'll be a 3-key nightmare for you to start. But if you're struggling and you want that nightmare, because nightmare is where you start getting the good rewards, this is a team that's accessible. And you can only plug and play better. If you have a Tyrell, he can replace Coffin Smasher. Now Ugo doesn't need to be there. So you can replace Ugo with a cleanser or a buff block, a debuff block. You see how you can keep upgrading, keep upping the ante. If you get legendaries, there's buff extender legendaries. There's legendaries with turn meter boost and speed buff. You can take this further, but this is kind of the baseline and one of the base ones. I didn't use Apothecary. I use Sandlash Survivor and High Khatun, but there's options here. And the White Whale is such an easy way, an accessible way with a 1-month champion. So here's the champions. We have Coffin Smasher. Coffin Smasher is really there for the attack down. 179 speed is nothing. He's a bit beefy at crit damage. You saw it wasn't doing much for him. If you're sitting at 68k and 200 crit damage, you're not going to notice that damage that much difference. You put Giant Slayer on him. I don't even know if I have Giant Slayer on him. I do. You put Giant Slayer on him, that's probably where most of his damage is going to come from anyway, and that doesn't matter. As long as he's hitting, he has a chance for that to proc. Next up we have is Frozen Banshee. Frozen Banshee, 228 speed, totally attainable. 5k attack, 279, 244 with 38k health. I don't think that's crazy numbers, is it? It doesn't feel like it's crazy numbers. They're good, but I think that's, again, totally attainable. I would actually argue that her defense should be probably around 4k, and you don't need as much attack because, again, poisons, War Master. That's where your damage is going to come from. She doesn't need to do the additional attacks, just gravy. She doesn't need it. So keep that in mind. And if you have to put her in lifesteal to start for the survivability of turns, do it. Absolutely. High Khatun here. She's going to be your fastest. And 248 is not unachievable. It is not difficult. It is an easy number to achieve, in my opinion, my humble opinion. 248 is very easy. In fact, I have my 30-day login. I'm day 34 on the free-to-play. I have her, and I haven't even leveled her up. So I think she's starting at 98 speed. You get extra speed, I think, at level 5 when she hits rank 5. And I have her faster. I have her 256 or something like that. So absolutely attainable speeds. Yeah, she's got more attack than you're probably going to have. She's probably got way more crit damage than you're going to have. But that's, again, the big thing is to get the speeds first and then work the gear through to get the rest of the stats. And that's how you improve from a 4-key to a 3-key to a 2-key. Then you get better champions and you start moving to a 1-key nightmare. Then you can start looking at Ultra Nightmare 4, 3, 2-key. And then you probably have... Maybe someone out there has made a 1-key out of this comp, but then you're probably going to, hopefully by then you've pulled a Demetha, maybe you've pulled a Brogni, and what are the tree dudes? One of those other comps that's so popular out there, do the hundreds of millions of damage very easily. Ugo, 195 speed, very attainable, with a 269 crit damage. She was actually doing some damage there. The right thing to do would have been put that defense at 4K, 4,200, like the old days. But whatever, we decided to try to get squeak a little extra damage out there. And then finally, Sandlash Survivor, again, 5K defense, 97K health. That's probably a lot more health than she needs, or that you'll probably get. But whatever, she had no crit rate. She probably could crit cap her for extra damage with that 227 speed. Again, not very difficult. 4 of these champions, we've got 3 rares. We got 2 rares. We got a login champion. We got a free code champion for new game starts, and we have Sandlash Survivor, one of a few different extenders out there that you would need in order to make this comp work. But my point being, Hey, let's go to final thoughts on High Khatun here. Like the old days, talk about High Khatun and where I think you can use her even today, even 6 years later, with the Sun Wukongs of the world out there. My final thoughts on High Khatun. She is a champion that I feel was very strong 6 years ago. And as added champions came into the game, as more turn meter came into the game, as more speed leads, especially for arena, came into the game, I'm pretty sure High Khatun slowly found her way out of favor. And at 30 days, especially if you get Sun Wukong as a login, you can absolutely still use her as a turn meter boost. You use Sun Wukong as your lead, but you use her as your fastest champion. She's going to turn meter boost, still do all the work that she needs to do. But I feel like even just me playing through arena in this first 35 days of this challenge, I don't see a lot of I don't see a lot of High Khatuns out there at all on teams in any position. And that's fair, right? There's so many champions out there that you pull one or two, and those are the champions you're going to be using in the arena, not her. So guess what? There is a new home for her, and I think that is in the White Whale comp. If you need to build this comp and you need to understand the turns and stuff, go over to deadwoodjedi.com, use the Clan Boss calculator, look for the White Whale with High Khatun, and there's a few different comps with High Khatun in it, and give it a go. It might just be the answer to those of you who are free to play. Maybe you haven't had any, maybe you're like me, you haven't had much luck. Now I'm still using her in arena, but not going to lie to you, if I pull an arena lead, I'm going to pull her out. I'm probably going to put her in my Clan Boss team, because a 2-to-1 Clan Boss team might be exactly what I need with someone like Alice on the team doing such great damage, throwing up that brimstone, hitting twice per turn, per round, whatever. I'll take it. So the speeds are attainable, even in the earliest of games. The champions are just a matter of what elements you need in order to get the best out of what you're trying to do. You're trying to get attack down, defense down, poisons, and then survivability, leech, or some kind of big heal or something. Strength is an added bonus. Defense up is an added bonus. But those are the core, and High Khatun can get you there. She can get you there in a 2-to-1. She can help you get to Nightmare. And as a new player, that's exactly what you're looking for. So I think she's an amazing champion. I think she's underrated. I feel like a lot of people don't talk to her because you get her so early, and then it seems like you're just waiting till you can replace her with someone. Don't replace her with someone. She is that good. That's all I have for you today. We're going to shut her down. I have to get some sleep so that in the morning I can do my job and then keep driving west until I hit Calgary and fly to visit my wife. So that's what I'm doing. I hope you are going to be having a good time this weekend. It is a holiday in the States somewhere, something, Memorial. I don't know. I think in Canada, it's a holiday. It's Family Day, or I think it might be Saskatchewan Day. I don't know. We just made up a civic holiday so we could have a long weekend in February. So I hope you enjoy it, whether you're North America, wherever you are. Hopefully all of you have it. If you don't have it in Britain, just take one off and say, hey, Rob said. And I'm sure that'll work with your boss. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Please be kind, be safe. We'll see you in the next video.